Burrows, and it'll be evaluated by Stacy Nixon. Mary Anne Burrows, DTM3, will be speaking from the Advanced Manual Storytelling, project number 5, Bringing History to Life. In Toastmasters, there are a variety of speech possibilities to present. The purpose of the speech is for the speaker to tell a story about a historical event or person. The event or person may be mythical, imaginative, fictional, or real. The story should have a plot and character development and should build to a climax. The title of her speech is In the Neighborhood. And time is 7 to 9 minutes. In the Neighborhood, Mary Anne Burrows. Please welcome.
Fellow Toastmasters and welcome guests. When my children were very little, they would watch Sesame Street faithfully every day. It was exciting, it was colorful, the puppets that were bigger than life with personality. Cookie Monster, Count Dracula, and of course, Cookie Monster, Oscar the Grouch. And then, when Sesame Street ended, the next show that came on began with this soft ditty being played in the background. This very shy, quiet, docile man would walk into the doorway. He'd walk down the steps, go into the closet, change from his street coat to his sweater. And then he would sing this song, won't you be mine? Won't you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? He would sit down, take off his street shoes, and put on his tennis shoes. And tie them very meticulous as he introduced and welcomed the children to his neighborhood. And I remember observing my children watching Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood and wondering, gosh, after Sesame Street, he seems sort of dull and not very engaging. But they continued to watch the show as well. Now, Mr. Rogers had a very different approach to educating children. He came from a place of a wound within his childhood. As a small child, Mr. Rogers was a chubby little boy. He was picked on, called names, and bullied. Do some things just never change? So he wanted to offer to children a safe environment where children could process through their feelings and their emotions. Because as a small child, he never felt that he was able to express his feelings. Didn't feel it was safe, that he would be perceived as a bad boy. But he wanted to offer that to children. Now, he didn't plan on being a show host on a television show for children. In fact, he planned on going to the seminary to become a minister. He finished his 4 years of college and he was about to enter the seminary when he stopped home to visit his family. It was the mid-50s when TVs were just beginning. He viewed some of the shows on that tiny little black and white screen, and he was appalled and shocked at how aggressive the shows were, even way back then. People throwing pies into each other's faces. And it was at that moment he put a hold on his plans to go to the seminary and began working on children's sets to produce shows that would give an alternative viewing situation for children, which, as we know, eventually turned into the Mr. Rogers Neighborhood. He continued to go to night school to the seminary, and one of the classes he took was a class in puppeteering. Now, the puppets weren't Big Bird and Cookie Monster, but the puppets were very simple hand puppets. That was his magic, a way he could relate to children. As we know, an adult and a small child is a large gap to be filled. But with those hand puppets, he found a way to connect with children, have them express their feelings. He also brought in issues that were taking place in our society. Divorce was becoming more common, and children didn't always know how to deal with that. You know, do my parents not like me anymore? He tried to bring that together and help kids understand that it wasn't about them. It was about two people that were simply fading apart. He also brought in some issues in the 60s when there was great racial tension in the United States. There was something on TV where they were African American people who wanted to swim in white people's pools. So he had a small swimming pool that he put in the neighborhood. He took off his shoes and socks on a hot sunny day and cooled off his feet. Officer Clemens, who happened to be an African American, came in to visit the neighborhood that day. And he invited him to take off his shoes and socks and soak his feet in that cool water on that hot sunny day, as a symbolic way of showing children inclusion, showing them it didn't matter what color your skin was. It was just two people in the pool. He also breached subjects such as assassination, when Bobby Kennedy was shot, to show and help children understand what does this word assassination mean, and what does it mean in our society. And I look back at my parenting days, and I wonder, was I able to connect the dots the way he was? Because oftentimes children would hear a word like assassination and not fully understand it, but they could feel the emotional impact it had on our society and people we live around. But he had a way of connecting those dots. Now you would think a man like that, who had such a passion and gave so much to the society, that everyone would love him. But not so. Even after he passed away, articles were written that said, Mr. Rogers was an evil, evil man. There's harm done in the neighborhood. Because this particular author felt that Mr. Rogers was responsible for the decline in hardworking people in our society. Personally, that's not how I feel about it. I think he was a man who talked his talk and walked his walk. In fact, he carried a quote in his pocket that said, frankly, if you knew everyone's story, you couldn't help but love him. And I personally believe he did his best to live from that place. At the end of it, and something I've felt that I've learned from Mr. Rogers is that yes, Sesame Street has its place, but Mr. Rogers' neighborhood definitely has his place. And though those messages were very different, they were both gifts to our world. And he would always emphasize to the children that we each have an opportunity to contribute to our world with the gifts that we have to give. And every day after the show was over, or when the show was ending, he would come, take off his shoes, put on his street shoes, and then he would tell the kids, make today a special day. You know how, just by being you. There's only one person in the whole world just like